A lot of folks have heard about Bernie's Green New Deal in terms of its estimated cost, $16.3 trillion. But rather than looking at it as a cost, we prefer to look at it as an investment. In a few seconds, I'll read through every budget item and you'll see why. But first, since people always want to know how things will be paid for, I'll give you a summary of how these revenues will be raised. First, we will stop spending nearly $1 trillion per year on our military, which destroys infrastructures around the world, so we can start spending that money on our infrastructure here at home. This will have the added benefit of reducing our carbon footprint because our military is the world's largest institutional producer of greenhouse gases. Did you know that we spend $81 billion annually to protect oil supplies and transport routes? This means we are uniquely positioned to lead the planet in a wholesale shift away from militarism and to mobilize the world to make our economy sustainable, which is exactly what Bernie's Green New Deal calls for. Second, we will stop subsidizing fossil fuels, saving over $500 billion per year. Third, we will create 20 million good-paying jobs, which will increase federal tax revenues and decrease the federal expenditures on welfare programs, because more people will have the income and benefits they need. Fourth, we will make the fossil fuel industry pay for their pollution through litigation, fees, and taxes, and eliminating federal fuel subsidies. Fifth, we will generate revenue from the wholesale of energy produced by the regional power marketing authorities. Revenues will be collected from 2023 to 2035, and after 2035, electricity will be virtually free, aside from operations and maintenance costs. And of course, Bernie will finally make the wealthy pay their fair share in taxes. Not only has Bernie called for a wealth tax to fund part of his plans, he also has active legislation calling for an increase to the estate tax, capital gains taxes, and the corporate tax rate. So, now that we have that out of the way, I'll go through Bernie's Green New Deal and list where every dollar of that $16.3 trillion will be spent over 10 years, keeping in mind the big picture goals of this plan, which are: number one, to transform our energy system to 100% renewable energy and create 20 million jobs in the process. Number two, to end the greed of the fossil fuel industry and hold them accountable. And number three, to rebuild our economy and ensure justice for frontline communities and a just transition for workers. Okay, so here's the $16.3 trillion plan to save America. $1.52 trillion will go towards renewable energy infrastructure and production. $852 billion will go toward energy storage systems. $526 billion will go toward building a modern smart grid. $2.18 trillion will go toward sliding scale grants for low and moderate income families and small businesses to invest in weatherizing and retrofitting their homes and businesses. $964 billion will go towards sliding scale grants for low and moderate income families and small businesses to electrify heating and cooling their homes and businesses. $2.09 trillion will go toward grants to low and moderate income families and small businesses to trade in their fossil fuel dependent vehicles for new electric vehicles. An additional $681 billion will go toward low and moderate income families and small businesses for a trade-in program to get old cars off the road. $85.6 billion will go toward building a national electric vehicle charging infrastructure network similar to the gas stations and rest stops we have today. $407 billion will go toward grants for states to help school districts and transit agencies replace all school and transit buses with electric buses. $216 billion will go toward replacing all diesel tractor-trailer trucks with fast charging and long-range electric trucks. $300 billion will go toward increasing public transit ridership by 65% by 2030 and ensuring that reliable, affordable public transit is accessible for seniors, people with disabilities, and rural communities. $607 billion will go toward building a regional high-speed rail system that would complete the vision of the Obama administration to develop high-speed intercity rail in the United States. $30 billion will go toward a storage shot initiative to commercialize technologies that can provide energy lasting 24 hours to multiple days at a capital cost lower than $1,000 per kilowatt to support the renewable energy needed to phase out coal and natural gas plants that currently serve as base generation for the grid. $100 billion will go toward decreasing the cost of a new electric vehicle to, at most, $18,000. $500 billion will go toward research technologies to fully decarbonize industry. $150 billion will go toward the effort to fully decarbonize aviation and maritime shipping and transportation. $200 billion will go toward helping the countries of the Global South with the equitable transfer of renewable technologies, climate adaptation, and assistance in adopting sustainable energies. $40 billion will go toward creating and funding a climate justice resiliency fund. The CJRF will ensure our infrastructure and communities are protected from the unavoidable impacts of climate change. $34.85 billion will go toward rebuilding America's aging drinking water and wastewater infrastructure. $150 billion in infrastructure grants. $150 billion will go toward infrastructure grants and technical assistance for municipalities and states to build publicly owned and democratically controlled cooperative or open access broadband networks for their communities. $75 billion will go toward the National Highway Trust Fund to improve roads, bridges, and other transportation infrastructure in the United States. Another $2 billion will go towards other surface transportation needs. $5 billion will go towards Tiger grant projects that build or repair critical pieces of our freight and passenger transportation networks that are located in rural areas, as an additional component to ensuring that freight transportation is fueled by 100% renewable energy by 2030. $636.1 billion will go toward ensuring our roads, bridges, and water infrastructure is resilient to climate change, and add another $300 billion to ensure that all new infrastructure built over the next 10 years is also resilient. $162 billion will go to coastal communities to help them adapt to sea level rise. $18 billion will go toward federal firefighters to help them deal with the increased severity and frequency of wildfires. $2 billion will go to communities that are rebuilt after disasters strike to make sure they have the necessary resources to build back stronger than before the disaster. $171 billion will go to reauthorizing and expanding the Civilian Conservation Corps to provide good-paying jobs building green and infrastructure, planting billions of trees and other native species, preventing flood and soil erosion, rebuilding wetlands and coral, cleaning up plastic pollution, constructing and maintaining accessible paths, trails, and fire breaks, rehabilitating and removing abandoned structures, and eradicating invasive species and flora disease, and other natural methods of carbon pollution sequestration. $900 million will go to permanently fund the Land and Water Conservation Fund to safeguard natural areas, water resources, and our cultural heritage, and to provide recreation opportunities to all Americans. $25 billion will go to repair and maintain the facilities and infrastructure within the national park system. $1.3 trillion will go to ensure that workers in the fossil fuel and other carbon-intensive industries receive strong benefits, a living wage, training, and job replacement. $100 million will go to the Department of Labor Susan Harwood training for high-risk industrial workers. An additional $5.9 billion in funding will be distributed as follows. $2.53 billion for the Appalachian Regional Commission, $506.4 million for the Delta Regional Authority, $304 million for the Denali Commission, $405 million for the Northern Border Regional Commission, $94 million for the Southeast Crescent Regional Commission, and $2.02 billion for economic development assistance programs. $130 billion will go to counties impacted by climate change with funding for water, broadband, and electric grid infrastructure investments. $25 billion will go to expanding the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program to help low-income families pay their heating and cooling bills. $215.8 billion will go toward free universal school meals, including breakfast, lunch, and snacks, because the cost of energy and food are so intertwined. $311 billion will go toward expanding the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. $100 billion will go toward fossil fuel well and mine cleanup. $238 billion will be used to clean up Superfund sites. $150 billion will go toward cleaning up and revitalizing brownfields and other areas and communities that have been polluted by the fossil fuel, chemical, and mining industries. $410 billion will go toward helping farms of all sizes transition to ecologically regenerative agriculture practices that rebuild rural communities, protect the climate, and strengthen the environment. $41 billion will go to help large confined animal feeding operations that have a large environmental impact transition to ecologically regenerative practices. $41 billion will go to socially disadvantaged and beginning farmers who have been historically underserved by USDA programs. $160 billion will pay farmers for the soil health improvements they make and for the carbon they sequester. $1.48 billion will go toward research to develop new region-appropriate farming techniques and seeds. $24.8 billion will go to bolster existing programs like the Conservation Stewardship Program, the Agricultural Conservation Easement Program, and the Regional Conservation Partnership Program that help farmers make conservation improvements on their farm. $500 million will go to help farmers that are enrolled in the Conservation Reserve Program transition their land to new organic farms. $1.4 billion will go to the Rural Energy for America program. $50 million will help beginning and socially disadvantaged farmers get fair access to land and resources. $1.12 billion will help tribes and tribal corporations access, acquire, and consolidate land on their reservation. $127 million will go to the highly fractioned Indian Land Grant Program to reunify divided and fractured ownership of tribal land. $600 million will go to the Indian Tribal Land Acquisition Grant Program for tribes and tribal corporations to purchase land on their own reservations. $400 million will go to the federally recognized Tribes Extension Program to provide educational outreach and research-based knowledge on tribal lands through the USDA Extension Program. $1 billion will go toward expanding farmer opportunity training and outreach programs to ensure those who have been chronically underserved by the USDA have access to the resources they need to thrive. $36 billion will go to help urban, rural, and suburban Americans transform their lawns into food-producing or reforested spaces that sequester carbon and save water. $14.7 billion will go to cooperatively owned grocery stores. $31 billion will go toward local food processing, including slaughter and dairy processing. $263 million will go toward bolstering existing programs that help farmers process their products on the farm. $160 billion will go to help states develop food recovery and composting programs. That's it.